Ladies and gentlemen, arms still broken, MX here, fellas, and coming at you. The camera angle is a little improv. You could say the camera angle, process is still in the alpha stages, still in the beta stages. Awkwardly, I'm working on it. All right, should I try to get the jersey in? Do a little stand up. Hey. Fellas, speaking about the alpha, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the alpha build, we did it, boys. You're damn right, we did it. We got invited to the alpha, fellas. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. A Donut MX has officially sold out. Got invited out to Vegas. Milestone flew your boy out there. Got to go to the Monster Cup. Got to play the new Monster Energy Supercross game. Get to give feedback and everything. So actually, I'm really grateful I got to be a part of the whole process. And it's nice to not critique a game after the fact. It's cool that I get to maybe do some input, and they're probably like, this guy's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's talking about, but maybe they'll listen to a couple things I have to say about what I think about the game. So let's go over here. Really smooth transition. Let's get this money. All right, before I start, I'm riding with the fastest character in the game, dude. Kellen Brower. Why do you think Tylin rode with Kellen? Why do you think Kellen rode with Kellen, dude? It's the fastest rider in the game. Also, this may or may not be some of Tylin's gameplay, because mine, kinda was corrupt when I opened it up. So, that doesn't really matter because I still played the game, and so this is my opinion. Alright, fellas, so first things first, I'm a YouTuber, okay? So I'm YouTubing along. I gotta check out my peers' videos because Lord knows theirs dropped about 3 weeks before mine. I'm checking out the feedback, I'm checking out the comments, I wanna get a feel for how other people feel about the game. I wanna see what my buddies think about the game, Ty, Kellen, Yellow, all those guys. And, steal some of their opinions so I can just copy and paste it into my video without having to think about it. But, I was really surprised to see, how much negative feedback there was about the gameplay and how the game looks. I get there's always going to be a bunch of negative comments, blah, blah, blah. And then people blindly praising the game every year. But this one definitely seemed to have a more negative reception than maybe any of the Milestone games I've seen in the past. This really surprised me because a lot of Milestone games can be very similar from the previous year with just slightly updated physics. And MESX3 feels like the biggest change they've made, since the jump from MXGP2 to MXGP3, or maybe from the MXGP series to the MESX series. It's been a while since they've made a lot of changes and improvements. I guess you could argue whether they're improvements or not, but at least the game feels very different now. So for people to be like, dude, fuck this game, I'm going back to MESX2. It's like, what are you talking about? MESX2 is like the same exact game, just a little bit shittier than the first one. It was very similar. And for people to not shit on that game and then decide that it's really cool to hate this game, I was just pretty surprised by that, honestly. I get home and I think it was my man Marcus, something rad. We're in Discord and he's like, hey man, the game looks really wonky. What's going on with that? And looking back at footage, if you've ever played a Milestone game, then you should know. Maybe whenever you saw the gameplay, you're like, dude, that looks stiff as fuck and it looks a little wonky and clunky. It doesn't look fun. Their games have always, for whatever reason, just felt a lot better to play than to watch. They just have a really good feel about them, and especially the way the cornering and ground physics and turning has always worked has felt amazing. Their weak point has definitely always been the air physics. They've had a lot of work to do in the air physics department, and at long last, dude, I never thought this day would come, but they've started to try to make sort of free air physics in the game. I don't want to go full free whip physics on it, but it's kind of free whip physics. They're not all the way there yet, but I have an argument to make for them. And this has been our biggest complaint since day one with Milestone Games is, dude, this scripted whip sucks. It sucks ass. Everyone has hated this scripted whip where you push or pull the sticks to the left or to the right or whatever. It's really awkward and clunky, and you just don't get the satisfaction of throwing a fat schmeezer like you do in MX vs. ATV. Of course, MX vs. ATV doesn't have good ground physics like this game has. So, in a way, MX vs. ATV leads the air physics, and this game, Milestone Games sort of dominate the ground physics. Well, Milestone's finally making a push to catch up in the air physics category. And to me, this is probably the biggest improvement of the game. I'll talk about a couple other ones, but man, the biggest complaint we've had for how long have they been making games? Motocross games? I don't know, 7 years or something? 10 years? I don't know. Since day one. Our biggest complaint, and they finally address it. One of the Milestone employees told me, our lead designer was from day one, he was like, guys, we have to do more free air physics. This is one of the biggest changes we have to make to the physics. This is what everyone's wanted forever. So now we're gonna do it. We're getting free whip or more free air physics. Finally. And now this is the game that is apparently cool to hate now. What? I mean, dude, people are just trying to find a reason to hate on. The tracks are too wide. Oh, you mean Houston? Did ya see Anaheim? I wish all the tracks were the exact same width and all felt the exact same to ride, so I got no variety throughout all 17 tracks, dude. That's a sick idea, dude. Oh, man, the physics are more all out, where you could actually throw some sick whips. Dude, that sucks. I want to go back to the stiff air physics from the previous games that we were already complaining about. Yes, dude. I wish the rider didn't get so dirty on a dry track. I guess, man. Comments like this, I just didn't expect it to be, hey, everybody, this year, it's going to be cool to hate on MESX3. Let's shit on this game and not MXGP Pro. Dude, Donut's just an asshole because you don't like that game. But this game, dude, it's an alpha, and I know it's bad. Even though I haven't played it, dude. The rider's too dirty. What? Oh, dude. They finally, after 10 years, listened to us and tried to make free air physics? Dude, this is the game to shit on. Yeah, dude. That makes sense. Alright. I'm getting carried away. I just thought some of this shit was ridiculous. And it's getting out of hand, dude. Now, let's remember, the game is in alpha. I don't want to be that guy, but the game's in alpha. And I don't know if you guys have ever followed other Milestone games before they launched, when alpha gameplay comes out a little early. Those always look bad. I made fun of one of my favorite arcade motocross games, the first MESX. I was like, dude, this game looks like shit. By the way, let me just put on some MESX1 alpha footage for you to watch and compare to MESX3's alpha footage. It seems unanimous, and I also agree that MESX1 has been Milestone's best game. So, let's see what that looks like in alpha, huh? Let me get back on track here. So, Milestone did release sort of a laundry list of improvements and updates they've made to the game. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've already seen what the improvements are or all these new features from another YouTuber that was there or from the Monster Cup reveal, but I'll go down the list real quick and just let you know what I think about each one. So the marketing team sort of presented to us, the new features, the hooties and the mahs. They started off with, you know, the big new features. Boom, official teams. You can ride as Team Red Bull. You can ride as Team Rockstar, Pornhub, whatever, dude. You can ride as all the official teams. That was like their big, you know, new feature, and they had to go out and sign all the new teams and create the new gear in game. You guys, if you've watched my videos at all in the past, you know I really don't care that much about gear or customization. Milestone has always had the best. I know a lot of people care about that though, namely probably little kids complaining on Facebook comments, but it's probably the majority of people you know, that are buying the games. So I just thought it was funny that, you know, that's the big feature when there's a lot of other huge improvements here that are sort of on the backlog of their improvements that they didn't really harp on or explain that much, and that I was much more interested in. The people watching this video are probably more in the minority of who's buying these games because we're a little more hardcore players over here. You know, we're gonna put a good 30, 60, 90 hours into it, dude. Start up a little tournament. Speaking of tournaments, there's actually a new race director mode where you can, like, blah blah blah, make your own series and rules and do all sorts of weird things that would be really good for a live stream. Kellen was really interested in live streaming that. I think it would make for a really good series. I think for subscribers, this is a huge addition that could make some live streams very interesting. Besides the new official Red Bull teams and stuff that were big improvements that they were talking about was the new compound for the game, which is like it was some California test track. You guys already know by now, I'm sure. It has like 6 whatever Supercross tracks on it or something, and you can play co-op with your friends, which I thought was pretty cool, and we'll definitely utilize that feature. But again, compared to some of the improvements I'm about to talk about, this was kind of more small beans to me, but was presented as one of the bigger things. And then female riders, yeah, they're dummy thick, and I'm probably going to be riding as a female, honestly, throughout my my time playing this game, so that'll be fantastic. Onto their like leftovers, pretty much. They're like, at the end they're kind of like, oh yeah, and then we have this and this, and they just kind of like ended. But you know, I'm over in the corner like, yo, let's go. So now I'll get into the features they didn't stress as much, but that are much more important to me, you know, as the multiplayer sim guy. Haha, we like to have fun around here. The track editor is very near and dear to me for this series. I've really liked what they've done with it. It's worked very well for making some pretty decent tracks, eh? However, they were saying they focused on a lot of other things more than the track editor for this game. They didn't make that many more improvements or new pieces for the track editor as of now. Mainly just sand pieces, maybe sand straights and sand whoops and blah blah blah. But one of the Milestone guys told me they might do some track editor DLCs for some new pieces later down the road. I know people will find a way to complain about DLC, but the track editor really increases the longevity of the game. On to the second or maybe first biggest improvement in my eyes that no one is talking about is the dedicated servers, dude. Ladies and gentlemen, dedicated servers is a huge deal. This is big balls, guys. I've stated in the past, Milestone is always known for, you know, the best motocross graphics, the best customization, the worst net code, and net code for motocross game is huge. Why do you think the DMR series turns collisions off? I mean, that's some of the fastest guys in the game, and we don't even race with the collisions because the net code is that bad. Finally, dedicated drivers. Dedicated. So the expectation is that online, the connection's gonna be practically flawless. Have you ever played dedicated servers with bad connection? No, it doesn't exist. This is a really big deal, especially for a motocross game with slice and dice and clean collisions, and no one's talking about it. If the dedicated servers aren't my favorite improvement, then it's the physics. The physics are, like I said, the most different they've been in a while. And in my opinion, I think improved, especially the air physics. The ground physics, Milestone's ground physics have been A1 since a long time ago, since MXGP3. They've always nailed down turning and cornering and ground physics. It's always been incredible. Same goes here. They feel a little different on the ground. With 2 hours of playtime, I couldn't tell you if I liked it less or more ground physics wise, but I mean, it was just really good, and I didn't even think about it. I was just really focused on the air physics. Which brings me to, the air physics. I already brought this up, but there's one more thing I want to address with the air physics. Well, I guess let me get this out of the way real quick. There's a new preload mechanism where if you push back on both sticks off a jump, you can preload. This is really good for boost and on some big rhythms, some big quaddies, hitting some big sections. And their rhythm sections, as always, were so well made. The tracks are so well made in these games every year. There's so many different lines in every rhythm section. And I think a big reason why I've loved all of the MESX games so far is because the tracks are so well made, man. And each one feels so unique. The same goes here. I mean, they were probably better than ever in this game. Definitely, I think the biggest skill gap in any MESX game. It's definitely more difficult, I'll tell you that much. I think it's the most difficult it's been. I mean, besides the artificial difficulty in MXGP Pro just sliding out in every corner because you're riding on ice. I mean, this is fair difficult. This is well-made difficult. This is, more of Simcade difficult. It's really nice. And I think there's an awesome skill gap that will make for some really good competitive racing. Okay, the last thing that I really wanted to talk about was, my favorite improvement. Again, the air physics, man. The free whip, free air, flip, blah, blah, blah. It's not perfect, of course. There's improvements to be made, and my opinion is that Milestone should work on these free air physics for the majority of the time they have left to, sort of tweak these and get them to feel just right. They said the physics were 80% there. This is all that's left, I think. Everything else felt good. I think the free air physics is the last thing that needs tweaking. Now, I think people might say, hey, they look really wonky, or they look like all out. You're right, man. We didn't make them look that great in these gameplays. And if you want my real opinion on them, I don't know how good they are. With 2 hours to play the game, I legitimately don't know how good the free air physics are. You want to know why? Because when I played All Out, it took me 12 hours to figure out how to whip in that game. I remember counting down to the hour because I was so frustrated up to that point. I only kept playing because my buddies were like, yeah, dude, the whips are sick. Trust me, you'll get them. And it took me forever to figure out how to make whips look decent in that game. The reason I say this is because what if that's the case here? What if the whips are really good, but we just didn't have enough time to figure them out yet? There was a moment when I was sitting with Ty, and we were just chilling, pooping around. I was watching him play the game, and he was hitting this rhythm, and dude, the guy was flowing. The guy hit just the cleanest. There was such mad steez on these flowy whips he threw that looked so clean, and we both kind of stopped and just did a quick take over it. It was yo. He was like, dude, did you see that? And we were both just kind of oh shit, this game has arrived. I hate to use this as an example because I don't have footage of it, but I think that the air physics might be a lot better than what you see here, just because we didn't have enough time to play the game and get really good at it. Honestly, to make the whips look really flowy and natural that we can do in other games because we've played so many hours. For example, Reflex. Everyone shits their pants over Reflex. Were you able to throw sick whips in Reflex when you first picked it up? I know no one can remember that because it's such an old game, but I highly doubt it. After hundreds of hours, yeah, I can make whips look fantastic in Reflex. That game has amazing air physics. But look what happens when I just kind of fuck around with the sticks, and I'm throwing them in patterns that I would think would throw whips. But even Reflex, the thing everyone puts on this golden pedestal, Reflex, it can look super clunky and wonky and terrible if I want it to. And I bet anyone playing Reflex would make the whips look this bad with only 2 hours of playtime. It takes a minute to figure it out, man. I'm also not saying that MESX is gonna be, as great as Reflex for air physics. Not at all. I'm saying we legitimately don't know how good it's gonna be. But it exists because the developers listened to the community and added these free air physics, and people are trashing on them for that. I just don't get it. It could be great. It could be only as good as you see in this video. I just want to communicate, I think this is what Milestone should work on for the remainder of their time. I know they have to polish the game and clean out bugs and all that good stuff, but I'm just saying, if you guys have some extra time, you know, do some little tweaks and twacks here on the air physics. I didn't mean for this to get so long-winded, but it's only this long because the game is that different. If it was the same exact copy and paste thing like they do for a couple of games in their series, this would have been a short, boring-ass video. But this just goes to show they actually changed shit and are listening to the community to implement features that we've all wanted for so long. In conclusion, I'm legitimately excited for this game. In Vegas, when we were all done with our little gameplay session and we got away from the developers, you know, we kind of huddled up and, hey man, oh, yo, gave the nudge, like, hey, all right man, like, hey, what'd you really think about the game? What you really think about the game, dog? And we all were like, dude, like, I really like it. Like, I don't have any big problems with it, you know? Like, I'm actually really enjoying it. There was a lot of time spent between all of us trying to battle for the fastest lap time on the tracks. And it was tough to run that golden lap time to hit all of the perfect big lines on the track consistently. And I think it just goes to show this might end up being really good for competitive racing. It's a promising game, and I'm excited to see what it looks like in its final stage. All right. Dominion or the Bob for today? Dominion or the Bob? Dominion or the Bob for today? Dominion? What the hell's going on?
Hey, where's the video? It's been like a month. Are you running into some problems?
Yeah, Yeah, man. Problem is, can't find any big problems. You know?
Wait.
I'm gonna be looking like a sellout, you know? You guys just, you fly me down to Vegas, dude. You give me the master bowling suite. You know, you let me play the new game. I don't say anything remarkably bad about it, you know, like I have for one of your games. Even though, despite me liking, like, this whole series, you know.
Hold up. Yeah, you looking for some problems? I got what you need. Look at chat.
My God. Yeah, fellas, this game fucking sucks.
99 problems all gone in that one joint, and that neck gold froze like he held it at gunpoint.